Hi, so in this video I'm going to be working on a war general, and I'm doing it in the style of a kaiju. So kaiju are basically big Japanese monsters kind of thing. Um, um, I think they originated in like the 1950s in like Godzilla, in Godzilla films or whatever. Um, and they're in lots of films and comics and all that kind of stuff. So most of my reference is going to be from two films called Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising, two really good films that I quite like. So looking at the screen, you can see this is some of my reference. So I've collected lots of reference of all different kaijus, and also some reference of some crustacean sea creatures, so lobsters and crabs and that, because you'll notice that a lot of these kaijus, they have a lot of crustacean-y styling to them, so their armour and everything, shells, the faces kind of thing, quite often look quite sea creaturey. I believe that most of the kaijus are actually meant to come from the sea. So they might have influences of sharks or something like that kind of thing. So they're generally big dinosaur lizards that have influences from sea creatures and everything. But yeah, so like I say, lots of reference from different kaijus, some crab references, lobster head, so really close up detailing. That'll be good for when I'm getting in close for the face. But yeah, so lots and lots of reference of the kaijus. Yeah, so there we go. So again, some more close-up crab reference. Then what I've got is I've got my sketches that I've done of the kaiju. So this one here, like you see the basic shape of the war general. So part of it is going to be just the basic model, and then obviously I'm going to be using my extra 500 triangles to do things like this lower jaw, these mandible feeler things, these big spikes on the back, and then I want to do these kind of like holy barnacle type things with a glow coming out of them. So it'll lend itself well to a good normal map. But then I can add stuff like some additive glow as well, kind of thing, to these areas here, and I'm going to add some kind of like blue glowing veins and stuff like that to it all as well. And then I'll add to be able to add a gloss map as well to give it a bit of a sheen in areas. So I'm thinking like this armour plates on the head will be more glossy than the rest of it, kind of thing. So yeah, it should lend itself to good use of the materials or the textures within the material and that. But yeah, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the OBJ file, the WarGeneral OBJ file. Just click import, skip these textures, we're looking for a texture. Okay, so here we go, so that's the basic WarGeneral file that everyone should have. So now I'm just quickly going to set up the base texture, and I'm just going to go and find the wireframe, just so that I can make sure that it's on there and it's mapped properly. And then later on, once I've actually built my low poly additional geometry, I'll then go into the actual texture and move about the base UVs so that I can get some space for texturing the actual additional geometry. Okay, right, so my plan is basically that I'm going to create my low poly geometry in here. Oh yeah, I didn't show you actually. So on my sketches I've also done this. So I've tried working out just some basic low poly geometry kind of thing. So I'm going to use this as reference and try and build it as low as I can, and then obviously I'll probably still have to go and optimize it further kind of thing on that. But I find that if I do a quick sketch of geometry, especially low poly, it helps me just build it quickly kind of thing. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do that first, build low poly geometry, then tweak it until I can get as much of that geometry into my 500 tries. Then I'll UV unwrap the additional geometry, fit it all into the one texture. Then from there I'll then export it into ZBrush, and then I'll start working on the high poly model, and then from there I can then bake out the textures and look at actually painting the detail and that kind of stuff. So the idea is that I'm going to be showing this from start to finish in a video. So there'll be areas where I'll speed it up, areas where I'll actually talk in detail about it kind of thing. Areas where I speed it up, I'll still probably do a voiceover so that I can still explain what I'm doing kind of thing on that. But yeah, so my next thing is I'm going to just start getting on with the low poly. So I'm going to switch some music on now and just get into it. So I've got the Pacific Rim movie soundtrack and that I've listened to, so it can help, give me, get me into the atmosphere of it kind of thing on that. Okay, right. So I'm just going to get on with it then. So here I'm just building the jaw at the bottom jaw. So I tend to just start with a base shape and then just use a lot of extrudes, and then as I'm going along you'll see that I again extrude, shape things, and then I'll start deleting polygons and re-welding things to try and get the reduced polygons. And here I'm just doing the back spike. So again, you can see I start from a base shape. So it was a cylinder, a 6-sided cylinder, and then I just shape and extrude from that. And same again with these glow cylinder things that are going to be on the chest. Again, it's just lots of extrude, lots of delete faces, welding back up again to reduce polygons. And I'll do this constantly as I'm working on it. So again, here, look, there we go. I'm just spinning it around, looking for areas that I can optimize it. And especially on the WarGeneral, because we've only got 500 extra triangles. So every triangle counts. So don't be afraid to use triangles, especially when you're using low polygon. For low polygon stuff, you really need triangles. So again, here we go. I started off with a cylinder and then lots of extrude. I'll start going around. There we go. I'm rotating edges, and then I start deleting faces, turning things to triangles so that it can reduce the polygon count again. And again, here I am. There we go, deleting lots and lots of faces, and then getting the shape right. So again, it's just a constant tweaking. So I've got all my bits now built, but obviously if we look here, 40 triangles over my limit. I've been going and optimising as I've been working on them, but I still need to optimise it a bit more. I could get rid of the backs of things, that would save quite a few, but by doing that it means that it can mess up the lighting. Objects might not light properly. You might get shadows not being protected properly if you don't have everything solid. It's low poly, so I could try faking it, but I'm just going to give it a bit more time and just see if I can get it a bit down a bit further. I may need to do some of these a bit simpler, but yeah, it's only 40 triangles. I'm sure I can get 40 triangles from somewhere. So yep, so I'm just going to have a little bit more of a play on that, but yeah. So up until this point I haven't really been that bothered about the scale of everything, but as you can see now I'm starting to actually move them into place, rescale them, trying to get a better feeling now for their place, and how everything looks when scaled alongside everything else. So I'm now trying to actually get a better idea of it all working together. So here I then decide that I don't actually need the back bulges of the jaw. It's going to be cut into the actual model of the torso, so those faces at the back there weren't needed. So again, brutal, I just go in and optimise it, just get rid of anything that I can. So do a bit of reshaping of it, just trying to get it to the shape that I like. And then I'm going to start doing the shoulder bar on the character. I've got a bar on one shoulder, so that's what I'm starting to work on here. Again, just working from basic geometry shapes. So I start off with a simple tube there, cut it in half, and then start welding everything back up. Place it in where it should go. It doesn't quite fit, so then I reshape it again, start optimising it, and I'll probably look at optimising it again. So I think there's probably extra polygons still in there that I can get rid of. So we'll see if I go back and do it again. So here I'll look at some smoothing groups to just try and make it look a bit nicer. So I've got pretty much everything there now. I'm just having a look at it compared to the reference. It's getting there, still needs quite a bit of work. Pardon me. Yeah, so it's getting there. Still needs quite a bit of shaping, and let me just check. Oh, still 12 polygons over. Still triangles. Okay. It's getting there. So it's looking a bit more like the shape of it now. Obviously I need to thicken these out at the back, reshape this bit a bit, make the jaw look not quite as square. But yeah, getting there. So now I just start playing with it, just start scaling things, tweaking things. It's now at the stage where everything is just a little tweak. I've still got to get rid of a few of those triangles from somewhere, so I'm just constantly looking. So you'll see me, I keep spinning it around, I'm looking for something where I can get rid of a couple of triangles. I keep looking back at the spikes on the back, and I keep looking at the jaw. So as you can see, there you go, I'm working on the jaw. More just reshaping it to get it more how I like. And I'm just looking to see if there's any polygons anywhere that I can just get rid of. So again, just a little bit of reshaping. And I'm constantly spinning it around, just looking for areas that need improvement. You can never truly get a model right just by looking at it from one angle. You've got to be constantly spinning it round. So I'm now going to get rid of some extra polygons and reshape this shoulder bar. So there we go, I'll get rid of a few triangles by just shaping it a little bit. Do the same on the other side. And then weld the vertices. I don't know if you've noticed, but I tend to work mostly in editable mesh when I'm doing low poly. I'm not sure why really, but it's just what I tend to do. Here we go. Right, I'm back onto the spike, the shoulder spikes, whatever, and I've got a few extra polygons back from doing that. So just moving things into shape, into position, trying to get it looking better, looking more like the actual reference. Here we go, quick look at reference, a bit more tweaking. And again, another look at reference. So just reshape it a little bit. And it's getting there. So I've got it now. I'm relatively happy with how it's looking. It can still do with some tweaking and that, but I think I'm going to do that after I've textured it. Then I can tweak little bits of it, kind of thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around it and do the UV unwrap. So I'll start off by just rescaling the base mesh UV, so it gives me some space in the actual texture for putting the texture of the additional geometry. I then go around and just basically planar map, cylindrical map, do it as simply as I can and as quickly as I can, and then I just blast them in, move them into a space outside of the main area, and I do that with everything. Just put them in roughly to start with. and then once I've got them all in, then I'll look at positioning them all back on the actual UV grid. A lot of people don't like actually UVing. I don't mind it. I find it quite relaxing. But then again, I suppose it depends on how complicated your actual model is and how complicated the unwrap is. With low polygon stuff, it tends to be quite simple. So, like I say, it can be quite relaxing and therapeutic. But here we go, fitting it all on now. Trying to use up as much of the space as I can in the texture. Try not to waste any as much as possible. So I'm ready to start exporting to ZBrush now. One of the things I need to do though is I need to move all the objects into the center, which is what I've already done, so that I can export them out individually. I need to do that because if I have objects cutting through each other when they're in ZBrush, when I create the iPoly model and then try to bake down to the low poly, it messes up with the texture projection kind of thing. So it's just a lot safer to do it as individual objects. So say for instance this one here, so I'm going to save that, I'm going to export it as the Kaiju Torso Low Poly. Okay, done. So I've exported all the other bits as well. But yeah, so then what we're going to do is we're going to go into ZBrush. So once we've got ZBrush open, we need to just hide this window here, and you'll notice that this window here is only displaying small, so it's always best to go up here and initialize ZBrush, and that just opens up the entire window. Right, so then we're going to need to go over here and import our 3D Kaiju. So Torso Low Poly, and let's put it in the centre of the. So at the moment it's the basic WarGeneral torso bust kind of thing, whatever. So then let's put it to edit mode. Let's have a look around. So yeah, so that's brought it in okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to up the subdivision level to make it smooth for working with. So there we go. And then I am literally now just going to start sculpting on it. So what I tend to do with my sculpting is pretty much just use the basic brushes, standard brushes, and use some alphas, that kind of thing, and just sit and just spend time just literally drawing over it and that. So I will probably use the duplicate on either side, so press X, there we go. So as I work now, it will do it on both sides. So yeah, so I am now just going to put some music on and just get on with it. So I'll start off by shaping out the plates on the head and the back of the neck. And again, I'm literally just using the standard brush and the smooth option on the standard brush, and I'm just constantly just resizing it and adjusting the pressure, and again just constantly switching between adding and subtracting the geometry. For the most part, it's just a case of just, you know, hammering at it kind of thing. You don't have to worry about being perfect with it. It does help though if you can do longer, smoother strokes with either your pen or your mouse kind of thing. So don't be afraid of really going for it with the actual movement of your pen or your mouse kind of thing and that. And so now here you can see I'm now just working on putting in some rough teeth into the mouth area. So now I'll start using alphas on my brush to start giving the kind of like cracked skin kind of texture effect. Again, resize it and different pressure to give the actual difference in the actual size of the cracked plates. And then if I do it as a negative, it gives almost like a veiny kind of effect. And again, just using it pretty much all over. Now I've switched that back off again, and I'm going round with a very fine brush and just putting in little cracks and just defining areas. So again, so around the eyes, negative and a additive there, and then I pretty much just work on lots of cracks around the armour plating. Just gives it a nice weathered look. And yep, again, lots of rotating to just have a look at it all. So that main torso bit is looking pretty good now, so I'm going to start working on the additional bits. So I'm going to start off with the shoulder spikes, and again pretty much just use the alphas to just create the cracked stony weathered leathery skin effect kind of thing, and use that in various degrees around the edges and all that kind of thing. Now I've then used a small brush and I'm cutting in the areas around the edge. So I'm going to give an indent, and then inside that indent I'm going to put a raised area to kind of like, they're going to be where the glow is going to come from on the shoulder spikes, and then I go and put some veins in just by hand. Yep, and then just a bit more of the cracked effect and a bit of ridging just around the glow areas kind of thing. But yeah, so it's a case of just tweaking it, but I think that's looking pretty good now. So yep, save it out, export it, and then I'm going to get onto the circular glow bits that go on the chest. So start off by just putting an indent where the glow is going to come out of, and then it's just a case of just using the standard brush to just put lots of little dimples and bumps around the thing, just give it a really rough. I'm trying to give it like a barnacle effect. So yeah, have a look around it while I just add more little bumps and stuff. And then start putting a bit of detail on the inside. I mean, you're not really going to see much in there anyway, it's going to be mostly a glowy texture, but a little bit of detail inside might help. And then again, go back around the edge, around the outside, put more bumps in, and then I think I'll use a negative brush so subtracted brush, and I'll start putting lots of little cracks around everything. Here we go. Yeah, I'm just working on little cracks and stuff, and then that's pretty much done. So now I'm going to go on to the feeler claw things on the front of the character. So again, I use the alphas to get the rough effect, and then just use the standard brush to just give the dimpling, and then I'm going to smooth it off a little bit there, and then I put loads of little cracks just around the edge of the blade area of the pincery feeler thing. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Just tidy up a bit of the detail in, and then I'm probably going to look at doing, here we go, yep, going to the jaw area. So I'm going to want to try and make this look less square. So first of all, go in, start putting some teeth in on the inside. So it's kind of like got two rows of teeth. It's got the teeth on the inside, and then it's got these teeth that I was working on there. Again, put lots of cracking on it using the alpha. And just little tweaks. But yeah, and then just using a fine brush to just put the lines in and the details. And so like I say, I mean, I pretty much just use the standard brushes and alphas at the moment. So here we go, I'm going onto the shoulder, and so there you can see where I'm doing long strokes. So the longer you can do a stroke with, in a single stroke, the better it is, because you'll get it smoother. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. These are organic creatures and that, so they don't have to be perfect. And here we go, I'm just putting in some little like dimples, and then I'm going to just deepen off some of those on the top. And then I think I'm going to put a bit of alpha on it again, to just so that it blends in with the rest of the actual torso. And there we go, pretty much done. Well, here I am now. I've combined the older pieces, and here it is in ZBrush. So the high poly is looking pretty good with all the bits. So now all I need to do is I'm going to start baking down some textures, the normal map in X-Normal. So that's what I'm going to do next, and see how the low poly looks with the normal map on. So yeah, that's going to be in my next stage, but yeah, quite pleased with it at the moment. There we go.